Dinner unfolded exactly the way I imagined. Forced laughter, careful manners. Everyone pretending everything was fine. Then my father stood up and tapped his glass with a spoon, signaling that whatever was coming wasn't up for debate. "We have an announcement regarding the estate," he said in that tone he only uses when he wants absolute obedience. I placed my fork down. Caleb, my older brother, straightened as if preparing to receive a trophy. His wife, looked like she'd been waiting all week for this. My younger sister, Sophie, had on that pre-approved smile she always wears during family events. And me, Maya, 32, the middle child, the one who writes code and stays out of drama. I simply waited. "The main house will go to Caleb," Dad declared, motioning around the old Victorian where we were eating. "He has 3 children and needs a room." "The lake cabin will be Sophie's," Mom added quickly. Then Dad turned toward me. "And Maya, you'll take the downtown condo. Seems fitting for someone living your kind of lifestyle." Lifestyle meaning unmarried, no kids, and a job he still describes as whatever you do on computers. Mom chimed in again. "The rental homes will be divided between the 2 of them. They'll need the income, and you're doing well on your own." Everyone nodded, as if everything had been decided months ago. Caleb began talking about renovations. Sophie started planning holidays at her future cabin. Na took pictures for inspiration boards. Not a single person thought to ask what I wanted. Dad finally said, "Well, nothing to say." I glanced at my phone. Actually, someone's here. Right on cue, the doorbell rang. Dad frowned. "We're not expecting anyone." I said, getting up. A courier in uniform stood outside, holding a thick envelope. "Delivery from Maya Whitaker." "That's me." He followed me back to the dining room and set several stacks of documents on the table. Deeds, statements, legal forms, all neatly organized. Dad's face flushed. "What is this supposed to be?" I sat down. "You just divided an estate that doesn't belong to you the way you think it does." Caleb grabbed a page. "Deed transfer, Whitaker Holdings, LLC, current owner, Maya Whitaker." He blinked hard, like the words needed time to rearrange into something more comfortable. "It's all accurate," I said calmly. "Every property you just handed out, this house, the cabin, the condo, every rental, they're under my LLC. Mom's voice wavered. "That can't be right. These homes have always been in our family." "They were," I replied. 7 years ago, when Dad's company collapsed and every property was about to be seized. You were days away from losing everything. I tapped one of the court seals. That same week, I sold my startup. I had over $3 million and no idea what to do with it until you asked for help. Dad stared at the documents. "We thought you were loaning us the money." "You assumed," I said. "I purchased each property at its appraised price, cleared the debts, paid the taxes and insurance, and let you live in them without collecting a dollar. Even the rental income you've been using, I let it flow through to you so you could stay afloat." Sophie whispered. "So we've basically been your tenants?" "Tenants paying 0, I said, and I was generous." The courier slid the signature sheet toward them. One by one, they signed, handshaking. When they finished, I slid another set of papers over. "These are 30-day notices. After that, my property manager takes over." Na's cheerful expression vanished. "We can't afford to move. Not from this house." "You won't be living here anymore?" I said softly but firmly. Phones buzzed. Extended family was already hearing the news. Pride travels fast. Later that night, my attorney, Armin, called. "Your father filed an emergency motion. Claims of elder abuse and fraudulent transfers. Judge wants everyone in chambers tomorrow. Bring originals." I expected this, I told him. I barely slept, staring at the ceiling fan carving circles in the dark. I had saved them, and they had erased me to my face. But tomorrow, I planned to make sure they saw me. The judge's chambers were smaller than I imagined. My parents and siblings sat beside a young lawyer who looked like he was still studying for exams. Armin, with his 20 years of experience, sat beside me. Judge Ortega looked at my father. "You believe your daughter tricked you. Evidence." He flipped through the file. Bankruptcy 7 years ago. Foreclosures pending. Properties bought by Miss Whitaker at full value. She paid the debts, taxes, and insurance. You paid none of those. Is that correct? My family's lawyer stuttered through a flimsy explanation. Dad tried to argue. We believed they were still ours. The judge raised an eyebrow. Did she ever tell you that? Silence. Did you contribute to any of the expenses? Taxes? Repairs? Insurance? Head shook. Then legally, the judge said, you never owned them after the sale. Your daughter saved you from losing everything, housed you rent-free for 7 years, and yesterday you tried to redistribute her assets without her approval. The eviction notices remain valid. Petition denied. Caleb caught up with me in the hallway. Maya, can we talk? Your 30 days started yesterday. I told him. He sighed. Why didn't you tell us any of this? Would any of you have listened? I asked. He didn't answer. By the end of the month, the driveway was empty. Caleb moved his family into a practical townhouse. Sophie rented a bright walk-up and discovered she actually liked living alone. My parents got a small senior apartment with a game room. I hired a management firm, rented out the Victorian to a family who treated it with care, and used the cabin's income to rebuild the dock. 3 months later, a handwritten envelope arrived. My father's handwriting. Inside was the apology he could never bring himself to say aloud. He thanked me, admitted fear had turned into judgment, and said, finally, that he was proud of me. I read the letter twice, then sent him a message. Coffee next week? His reply came a moment later. I like that. Forgiveness isn't pretending nothing happened. It's keeping the key to the lock and choosing when to use it.